Today I'm going to reveal the secret to making her miss you, even when you're right there. Many men don't realize that constant availability kills desire. In fact, creating moments of emotional unavailability can intensify the connection. In the next few minutes, I will explain 5 powerful strategies that awaken longing, missing someone even in your presence. These techniques work because they activate fundamental psychological triggers of female desire, creating an irresistible paradox that keeps the flame alive for years. I want you to imagine for a moment, what would it be like to have that special woman literally counting the minutes to see you again? What would it be like to notice that hungry look, that almost physical need for your presence? This isn't fantasy, it's pure psychology. And I'm going to show you exactly how to activate these deep psychological triggers that make any woman, yes, even the one who seems to be slipping through your fingers right now, crave you in a way she herself won't be able to explain. If you keep applying the same strategies most men use, you'll keep getting the same frustrating results. But if you stay until the end of this video, I guarantee you'll discover why most relationships cool down over time. And more importantly, how you can be the exception. And I'm not talking about cheap manipulation or childish mind games. I'm talking about understanding the fundamental nature of female desire and using it to your advantage, creating a genuine and powerful connection that strengthens over time instead of weakening. First, you need to understand a crucial fact. The female brain is biologically programmed to be attracted to what is hard to get, not what is constantly available. This isn't an opinion, it's basic behavioral science. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter for pleasure and motivation, is released in anticipation of a reward, not during the consumption of the reward. In other words, desire lives in the gap between wanting and having. If you're already mentally noting this, you're on the right track. Let's dive deeper and discover how to apply this knowledge in practical and immediate ways that will transform your relationship in the next 24 hours. But before revealing the first transformative secret, if you're enjoying this content, help this channel grow by leaving your like right now. This small gesture makes all the difference in the algorithm and allows me to keep bringing valuable content like this. Now let's get to what really matters. First, let's talk about the absent presence paradox. This is a powerful concept that very few men understand. The uncomfortable truth is that your constant emotional availability is killing her desire. Think about it. When you are always emotionally available, always responding immediately, always putting her needs above yours, always trying to please, you become predictable. And predictability is kryptonite for desire. I want you to reflect on something for a moment. Have you ever noticed how the most attractive people you know have a mysterious quality about them? They are there, but part of them seems to be elsewhere. This is no accident. It is precisely this state of absent presence that ignites the fire of desire in women. See, when you are physically present, but emotionally not always available, not out of manipulation, but because you genuinely have a rich life, deep interests, and a complex inner world, you create a space that she desperately wants to fill. You become a puzzle she wants to solve, a territory she wants to explore. The practical implementation of this is simple, but requires consistency. In the next 7 days, I want you to practice being completely immersed in something that genuinely interests you when you are next to her. It could be a book, a project, or any activity that truly captures your attention. The trick here isn't faking interest. Women have an incredible radar for detecting falseness. The secret is to cultivate real interests outside the relationship. Imagine the following scenario. You are in the same room. You are deeply absorbed in something that fascinates you. She observes your focus, your passion directed at something beyond her. Without consciously realizing it, she starts wanting to regain your attention. This is the moment the magic happens. She starts missing you even with you right there. Most men make the mistake of thinking they need to be constantly trying to impress their partner, but the truth is that few things are more attractive than a man passionate about something in life, pursuing his own interests with intensity. This communicates in a language far more powerful than words. My life is rich and complete. You are a welcome addition to it, not the absolute center from which all my validation comes. And it is exactly this type of man that women never stop desiring. The man who doesn't need her to feel complete but chooses her anyway. Now, I want to warn you about a common mistake. Some men interpret this as a license to be emotionally distant or neglectful. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a delicate balance. You must alternate between moments of genuine unavailability and moments of deep connection. It's this contrast that creates dependence. Let's assume you are implementing this strategy. You are focused on your project for a significant time. When you finally redirect your attention to her, it is crucial that this attention is complete and intense. Look into her eyes as if you were seeing the entire galaxy within them. Listen not just to her words, but to the emotion behind them. Be so completely present in these moments that she feels the visceral difference between having all your attention versus not having it. And this leads us directly to the second powerful principle, the intermittent intensity technique. Think of your attention like a powerful strobe light. When it shines, it should be blinding in its intensity. But it also needs to have calculated moments of absence. Over the next 10 days, I want you to consciously practice what I call the 80-20 technique. For 80% of the time you spend together, maintain a normal, comfortable, loving connection, but reserve 20% for moments of extraordinary intensity. In these moments, your presence should be so powerful, so complete, that she literally feels her body vibrate at a different frequency. The beauty of this technique lies in the contrast. Most men either offer lukewarm constant attention or oscillate between coldness and desperation. Both approaches fail. What I'm proposing is different, a consistent and reliable presence, punctuated by moments of connection so intense that they are etched in her memory like fire. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly listened to your partner? Not just heard her words while formulating your response or thinking about what to say next, but truly listened, as if deciphering a code that could unlock all the secrets of the universe. When was the last time you looked at her not as your girlfriend, your wife, or the woman you're dating, but as a complete mystery you have the privilege of exploring? It is these moments of total presence, followed by periods where you inhabit your own space, that create that magnetic tension that keeps relationships lit for decades. Think about it. Would you prefer a constantly lukewarm bath or one alternating between refreshing and hot? Contrast creates sensation. Sensation creates memory. Memory creates desire. Listen closely, because this is one of the biggest secrets I've ever shared. Constant familiarity is the poison of desire. The human body is designed to filter constant and predictable stimuli. That's why you no longer feel the watch on your wrist after wearing it for a few minutes. That's why you don't notice the sound of the refrigerator until it suddenly stops. And that's why relationships that start with intense passion often lead to boring routines. The intermittent intensity technique interrupts this process. It keeps the relationship unpredictable enough to remain interesting, but consistent enough to create security. It's a delicate dance, but mastering it practically guarantees she will always feel that spark of excitement when thinking of you. If this content is opening your mind to new possibilities in your relationship, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with that friend who is struggling to keep the flame alive in their relationship. Sometimes the right knowledge at the right time can save a relationship that is on the verge of the precipice. And don't forget to leave in the comments which technique is impacting you the most so far. Now let's advance to the third transformative principle, the power of calculated mystery. There is a reason why the best-selling novels of all time don't reveal everything on the first page. There is a reason why the most memorable movies don't show the monster in the first 5 minutes. The human brain is a puzzle-solving machine. When something is not completely revealed, our mind works incessantly to complete the picture. I want you to understand something fundamental about female psychology. A man who is an open book, who can be read completely in a single meeting, rarely keeps interest for long. Not out of female malice or superficiality, but because desire feeds on possibility, not certainty. Over the next 5 days, I want you to deliberately practice what I call small, incomplete mysteries. These are moments where you introduce something intriguing into the dynamic, but don't explain it completely. For example, smile to yourself looking at your phone without explaining why when she asks. Go for a walk alone and come back with noticeably renewed energy, but share only partially the epiphany you had. Make an unexpected purchase without apparent reason. I'm hearing your mind criticize, isn't this a little game? Isn't this manipulation? Let's clarify. Manipulation would be creating false situations to provoke insecurity. What I'm proposing is different. I'm suggesting you maintain genuine parts of your life as territories to be explored, not as information to be dumped all at once. Visualize this scene. She notices an enigmatic smile on your face while you look at your phone. Naturally, she asks what's happening. Instead of immediately showing the funny message you received, you simply respond, "Just something that made me think," and change the subject. What happens inside her mind at that moment is fascinating. Her mind starts working, creating possibilities, keeping you present in her thoughts, even when the conversation has already moved on to another topic. Think about the last time you felt intrigued by someone. Perhaps it was a person who seemed to have a life rich in experiences that you didn't know completely. Someone who gradually revealed new and surprising facets over time. It is exactly this feeling that you are cultivating when you implement the power of calculated mystery. I'm not telling you to become elusive or dishonest. I'm saying there is power in dosing revelations, in keeping certain parts of you as treasures to be discovered, not as merchandise being displayed in a shop. Window. This approach not only makes her miss you when you're away, it makes her miss parts of you she doesn't know completely yet, even when you are sitting next to her. There is another powerful benefit to this approach. The more mental energy she invests in thinking about you, the more valued you become. It's what psychologists call the IKEA effect. We tend to value more what we invest effort and energy in. When she spends time trying to understand you, deciphering the multiple layers of your personality, you become more valuable in her mind. An important warning. Too much mystery can create anxiety and distance. The goal isn't to be completely inaccessible or create insecurity in the relationship. It is to introduce elements of intrigue and continuous discovery. It is to make the relationship an ongoing exploration, not a book that has already been read to the last page. The question isn't whether you should maintain mystery in the relationship. The question is how much mystery is ideal to keep the fire lit without extinguishing the feeling of security that every healthy relationship needs. The answer varies from couple to couple, but the general rule is maintain 70% transparency and predictability, reserving 30% for continuous discovery. Don't forget to put your questions and reflections in the comments. Which of these techniques have you already tried naturally? Which seems most challenging to implement? Below this video, let's create a community of men determined to elevate their relationships to a new level. Let's advance to the fourth principle, possibly the most powerful of all, the strategy of momentary emotional absence. Now we are entering advanced territory, so pay extra close attention. There is a crucial difference between toxic emotional distance and strategic emotional absence. The first comes from fear, anger, or the inability to connect. The second comes from inner strength and emotional richness. It is this second form that has the power to intensify female desire in ways few men understand. Occasionally, you need to create an emotional vacuum, a space of silence and introspection that she intensely desires to fill. It's not about calculated coldness or indifference. It's about demonstrating that your emotional world is rich and complex enough to occasionally require your complete internal attention. Over the next 8 days, I want you to practice what I call visible introspection, moments where you deliberately disconnect from external interaction to connect with your internal world. These can be periods where you appear contemplative, lost in your own thoughts. When she inevitably asks what's happening, share only partially, showing depth without total transparency. You could say something like, "I'm reflecting on a conversation I had today that made me question some of my priorities." Or, "I was thinking about something my dad told me years ago that I'm only now starting to truly understand." What you are communicating in these moments is deeply powerful. You are showing that you have an inner world rich enough to occasionally consume all your attention. You are demonstrating that although she is important, she is not your only source of significant emotional experience. Remember the last time she seemed distant, lost in her own thoughts. How did that spark your curiosity? perhaps even a pang, of insecurity. The same dynamic works in reverse. When you demonstrate having a complex inner life without sharing every detail, it creates a space she will naturally desire to explore. Have you noticed how much more intriguing it is when someone shares specific and concrete vulnerabilities instead of generalities? "I'm facing doubts about my career direction" is much more magnetic than "I'm thinking about stuff." The first offers a window into your inner world without throwing the door wide open completely. I imagine some of you are thinking, "But shouldn't we be completely open and honest in relationships?" This is a superficial understanding of true intimacy. Authentic intimacy is not a constant dumping of every thought and feeling. It is a gradual and continuous revelation, an unfolding that can last decades. The deepest relationships are not those where everything is known immediately, but those where there is always more to discover. If this video is helping you see your relationship in a new light, this is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss the continuation of this series, where I will go even deeper into these techniques and reveal advanced strategies that are rarely discussed. I want to share something personal for a moment. Years ago, I was in a relationship that slowly transformed into a predictable routine. The desire that was once uncontrollable diminished until it became an almost extinguished ember. It was devastating to realize that the woman I loved no longer felt that urgent need for my presence. That's when I started obsessively studying the psychology of desire and discovered I was making the mistake almost all men make, confusing comfort with connection. Eventually, I understood that to rekindle that flame, I needed to reconnect not just with her but with myself. I needed to rediscover my own depth, my own mysteries. And when I started implementing the techniques I am sharing with you today, the transformation was almost immediate. Not just in her behavior towards me, but in the complete dynamic between us. This leads me to the fifth and final transformative principle, the surprising sensory reconnection. This is possibly the simplest to implement, but has profoundly powerful effects that can transform even the most lukewarm relationship. Our brain associates people with specific sensory stimuli, the particular smell, the sound of the voice, the texture of the touch. Over time, these stimuli become predictable and therefore less impactful. To create longing, missing someone even when present, you need to break established sensory patterns and create new neurological connections. In the last 7 days of your 30-day experiment, I want you to introduce unexpected sensory stimuli into your dynamic. It could be a new cologne used only occasionally. It could be a subtle change in your style of dress. It could be a new hobby that activates your physical presence differently, perhaps dance, martial arts, or climbing. The important thing is that it is something authentic that expands your sensory repertoire. Imagine the following scene. After weeks applying these techniques, you go out alone for a few hours. Upon returning, she smells a slight different aroma, notices a new energy in your movements, perceives a different sparkle in your gaze. Without her consciously realizing it, her brain is already registering you as a new and exciting sensory to experience. She is literally missing you, even with you right there. Have you ever experienced how an aroma can instantly transport you to another time or place? It is exactly this kind of powerful neural connection that you are establishing. When you implement sensory reconnection, you are creating new neural bridges between your presence and the reward system in her brain. Let me clarify something crucial. Nothing I've shared here is about manipulation or control. It's about understanding fundamental human psychology and using it to create a deeper and more lasting connection. It's about awakening and maintaining genuine desire, not fabricating temporary reactions. These 5 strategies, the absent presence paradox, the intermittent intensity technique, the power of calculated mystery, the strategy of momentary emotional absence, and the surprising sensory reconnection, work because they access primordial instincts deeply rooted in the human brain. They are not superficial tricks. They are fundamental principles of attraction and human connection that have worked for thousands of years. If you implement these strategies consistently over the next 30 days, I guarantee you will see substantial changes not just in her behavior, towards you, but in the complete quality of your relationship. And most importantly, you will discover a new depth within yourself in the process. Because here is the truth few men understand: the ability to generate lasting desire in a woman starts with your relationship with yourself. A man who is fascinated by his own journey, who continues exploring new dimensions of himself, who maintains mysteries not through manipulation, but through constant growth, that man never loses his magnetism. Ultimately, making her miss you even when she is next to you isn't about external techniques. It is about cultivating a presence so rich, so multifaceted, that even after years together, she still feels there are territories within you she hasn't fully explored yet. Let's quickly summarize the 5 principles I shared today. First, the absent presence paradox: being physically present but emotionally not always available, cultivating genuine interests outside the relationship. Second, the intermittent intensity technique, alternating between normal connection and moments of extraordinarily intense presence, creating contrast that keeps desire alive. Third, the power of calculated mystery, keeping aspects of you as territories to be explored, revealing yourself gradually over time. Fourth, the strategy of momentary emotional absence, demonstrating a rich inner world through visible introspection, sharing specific vulnerabilities without total transparency. And fifth, the surprising sensory reconnection, breaking established sensory patterns by introducing new stimuli that create new neural connections associated with your presence. If you are ready to transform your relationship by applying these principles, leave a "ready" in the comments. Let's create a community of men determined to elevate their relationships to a new level of connection and mutual desire. This is just the beginning of your transformation journey. In the next videos, I will go deeper into each of these principles and reveal even more advanced techniques for those who are ready to become true masters of attraction and lasting connection. If this content is valuable to you, show your support by leaving a like, sharing with other men who could benefit, and hitting the notification bell to be notified when the next video in this series airs. Until the next video, keep evolving, keep surprising, and never stop exploring the mysteries that make you the man you are destined to be.